Title, Still Not Promoted? My wife shouted across the table at my company gala. I said nothing. At 8:02 a.m. the next day, her boss called, his voice a panicked whisper. What did you do? The entire board is in an emergency meeting. Start. Her voice cut through the music, sharp as the edge of the steak knife she held like a prop. Laughter from the other tables drowned halfway through her words, the kind of half-laughter people give when they don't know if they're witnessing humor or humiliation. I said nothing. I just smiled, the same way I'd learned to when clients lied to my face. Across the table, her boss chuckled, swirling his wine. Maybe next quarter, huh? That was the moment the room tilted. Not the insult, not even the laughter. It was his tone, too familiar, too amused, too comfortable in a space he shouldn't have been in. I looked at her hand. It rested on the table, not mine. Then his, barely a brush, touched it as he leaned closer. Most wouldn't have noticed, but I did. At 8:02 the next morning, his voice trembled through the phone. What did you do? The entire board is in an emergency meeting. They're asking for him. I took a slow sip of coffee. Then, you'd better give them an answer. Her name was Claire, 8 years married, 11 together. She used to say I was the calm one, the one who could fix anything. I thought that was love. In hindsight, it was just the way manipulators test their victims, to see how much silence they can feed you before you break. We built everything together. Late nights, cheap ramen, dreaming in one-bedroom apartments. I thought success would protect us. I was wrong. When she joined Wexler Holdings, things changed. A new job, a new boss, Evan Reese, the kind of man who wore power like cologne, too much, too loud. At first, it was just longer hours. Then secretive texts, a new perfume she claimed she bought on sale. Then came the gala, the public humiliation that finally clarified what my instincts had been whispering for months. That night, when she fell asleep beside me, smelling faintly of his cologne, I stared at the ceiling and realized I wasn't going to argue. I was going to dismantle. The truth didn't take long. It rarely does once you stop doubting yourself. A thumb drive left in her purse, a receipt from a hotel 2 towns over, a calendar invite accidentally synced to our shared cloud. I didn't confront her. I didn't rage. I archived. Every message, every photo, every payment from the company card he approved, every timestamp that tied her professional progress to him. Then I found something else. The shell accounts. Transfers under project codes that didn't exist. Her name on 2 of them. His signature on 3. They weren't just sleeping together. They were laundering company money. I remember sitting there, staring at the evidence, and feeling calm. Finally, there was clarity. I didn't quit my job. I didn't move out. I stayed exactly where I was, the quiet husband, the overlooked man, the one no one noticed at company events except to pity. Every morning I packed her coffee. Every night I watched her kiss me goodnight with the same lips she used to lie. Meanwhile, I started building a dossier, neat, color-coded, cross-referenced with financial ledgers, emails, and IP logs. I drafted anonymous tips. I waited. Then I set up the last piece, a data trail that led back to him but started with her, enough to make the board question both. And finally, the invitation, Wexler's annual executive gala, the same stage where she'd mocked me. The night unfolded beautifully. She shimmered in silver, smiling as if nothing in the world could touch her. Evan arrived late, his usual confidence dripping from every step. When the CEO took the stage, he started talking about company integrity and trust. I could see confusion on their faces, then concern. Then came the slide deck. Emails, bank transfers, photos, her login, his authorization. The room went silent, except for her breath catching. Evan stood, too fast. "This is absurd," he shouted, but the CFO was already holding up a folder. These were sent to us this morning from an anonymous employee, with complete audit logs. I just watched, calm, silent. She turned to me, panic, disbelief, realization. "You." I didn't nod. I didn't deny it. I just watched the collapse. Security escorted him out first. Her next. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered. The board members murmured among themselves. It was all so methodical. At 8:02 the next morning, his call came. "What did you do?" Evan's voice cracked like glass. "They're asking for him. They think I—" "Good," I said. "You should have been more careful." Then I hung up. By noon, both their careers were gone. Wexler's stock dropped 8% before the press release even hit. Internal audit teams seized her devices. Her name was scrubbed from the website within hours. She came home that night, not to beg, she wasn't the type, but to understand. "You ruined me," she whispered. "No," I said. "You did that the moment you thought I'd never notice." Her hand trembled as she reached for her suitcase. I watched her walk out, heels clicking like a countdown. A week later, I got an offer. Consulting work, ironically from one of Wexler's competitors. They'd seen my anonymous forensic report. They wanted discretion, precision. I said yes. Now sometimes I pass the old building on my way downtown. I see her photo still hanging in the lobby, blurred behind a former executive plaque. People ask if I miss her. I tell them truthfully, not her, just the version I thought existed. She wanted to measure my worth by a promotion. I gave her one, just not the kind she expected. Justice, I learned, doesn't need noise. Sometimes it just needs a quiet man who finally stops smiling.